What if I told you that the thing sitting in your fridge right now, the thing you've been melting on your eggs, layering in your sandwiches, and feeding to your kids, might not legally qualify as cheese? Not because someone made a mistake, not because of a bad batch, but because an entire industry quietly rewrote the rules so they never had to make the real thing again. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to tell the difference between food engineered in a lab and cheese made the way it's been made for thousands of years. And I promise you, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If this kind of truth-telling is what you're here for, hit subscribe right now, tap the like button, and ring that notification bell. Because we do this every single week, and you do not want to miss what's coming. The foundation, what cheese actually is. Before we get into the brands, let's establish a baseline. Because the industry is counting on you not having one. Real cheese, in its purest and most traditional form, is a result of four things coming together: milk, salt, a bacterial starter culture, and rennet, an enzyme that causes the proteins in milk to coagulate into curds. That's the entire recipe. For ingredients that shepherds, farmers, and cheesemakers across every continent have been working with for over 7,000 years. There is no fifth ingredient. There is no need for one. Here's the economic reality that changed everything. To produce a single pound of genuine cheddar, you need roughly 10 pounds of whole milk. Whole milk costs money. Aging that cheddar to develop real flavor takes months, sometimes years. That aging requires temperature-controlled warehouse space, labor, and time. Time, in the food industry, is the most expensive ingredient of all. So the large-scale food manufacturers did what large-scale food manufacturers always do when faced with a cost problem. They engineered their way around it. The FDA, to its credit, actually created a tiered labeling system to track how far a product has drifted from real cheese. At the top of that hierarchy sits natural cheese, milk, culture, rennet, salt, nothing else. Below that is pasteurized processed cheese, which allows for emulsifying salts and blended cheese varieties. One rung lower is pasteurized processed cheese food, which permits whey, skim milk, and other dairy-derived fillers that dilute the actual cheese content. And at the very bottom of the ladder, the regulatory basement, is pasteurized processed cheese product, a classification so loosely defined that a product only needs to contain a small percentage of actual cheese by weight to earn the label. Read that again. A small percentage of actual cheese. The rest? Engineered filler. There are three tricks the industry uses to get there. The first is emulsifying salts, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, which allow manufacturers to blend inferior dairy byproducts into a smooth, meltable consistency that mimics real cheese without requiring real cheese. The second is powdered cellulose, an anti-caking agent derived from a pulp that gets added to pre-shredded products to prevent clumping. The FDA permits up to 2% cellulose in shredded cheese. Some brands treat that ceiling as a target. The third is natamycin, a pharmaceutical antifungal sprayed onto cheese surfaces to extend shelf life. Real aged cheese doesn't need a drug to survive in your refrigerator. The microbial cultures in genuine cheese are the preservation system. When you need a pharmaceutical to keep your cheese from going bad, that tells you something important about what's actually in it. Now let's talk brands. And we're going to start with the ones you need to put back on the shelf. The skip list. Number 1, Velveeta. Let's start with the one that requires the least debate. Velveeta is not cheese. This is not a hot take. This is the FDA's official position. The product is classified as a pasteurized prepared cheese product, the lowest rung on the regulatory ladder we just discussed. The ingredient list includes modified food starch, sodium phosphate, and sorbic acid as a preservative. Here is the detail that should stop you cold. Velveeta, unopened, has a shelf life of up to 6 months without refrigeration. Sit with that for a moment. Real cheese is a living product. It contains active microbial cultures that continue to develop, shift, and evolve over time. That biological activity is precisely what creates flavor complexity in aged cheeses. What sits on a room temperature shelf for half a year is not alive. It is a stabilized, preserved, engineered loaf, and the food scientists who build it are genuinely talented at what they do. The melt is flawless. The texture is consistent. But that consistency is the product of chemistry, not craft. The marketing leans hard into comfort and nostalgia. The product delivers on that emotional promise. What it does not deliver is cheese. Number 2 most store brand, sharp cheddar blocks. This one is sneaky, and it's the one that catches the most people off guard because it looks the most like real cheese. Here's the loophole. Sharp cheddar has no legal definition under FDA standards. None. A manufacturer can stamp the word sharp on any block of cheddar regardless of how long it was aged, what quality of milk was used, or what the flavor profile actually tastes like. It is a marketing word with zero regulatory teeth. Genuine sharp cheddar develops its characteristic bite and complexity over 12 to 18 months minimum of aging. Most store-brand sharp cheddars are aged for 60 to 90 days. The bare minimum required to be called cheddar at all. The word sharp on the front label is doing a job the cheese inside cannot do. The fix is simple. Flip the block and look for an age statement. If there is no age statement on the packaging, the front label is telling you a story the ingredient list doesn't back up. No age statement means no accountability. Walk past it. Number 3, Kraft singles. Kraft singles are the most purchased cheese product in America. They are also one of the most precisely engineered examples of food science in the entire dairy aisle. And the FDA made sure the packaging reflects that. The official product name is pasteurized prepared cheese product. Kraft was legally prevented from calling it simply cheese without the qualifier. The ingredient list includes milk, water, whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, sodium citrate, and a collection of emulsifying and preserving agents. The product is approximately 51% cheese by weight. Nearly half of what you are purchasing is engineered filler, the melt that makes Kraft singles so visually satisfying on a burger or grilled cheese. That is not a sign of quality dairy. That is emulsifying salts performing exactly as designed, creating a smooth, plastic-like melt from a base product that real cheese would never produce on its own. You are paying a premium price for a logistical illusion. The packaging is designed to look like a dairy product. The ingredient list tells a different story. Number 4, Babybel Original. Babybel gets a health halo that it has not entirely earned. The wax coating feels artisanal. The portion size feels mindful. The European branding feels premium. And to be fair, Babybel Original does use pasteurized milk and maintains a relatively short ingredient list. It is not in the same category as Velveeta or Kraft singles. But here is the honest assessment. Babybel is a heavily standardized, mild, industrially produced cheese with almost no flavor complexity or meaningful culture diversity. In 2022, parent company Bell Group faced scrutiny in Europe over sustainability claims and supply chain transparency. Not a toxicity issue, but a credibility issue around the premium positioning the brand relies on. The core problem is value. You are paying a significant per ounce premium for a wax-coated marketing exercise. The nutritional profile of a Babybel Original is available in dozens of genuine block cheeses at a fraction of the cost. The wax is theater. The cheese inside is ordinary. There is nothing wrong with ordinary, but you should not be paying extraordinary prices for it. Number 5, Kraft shredded blends and most major shredded bag cheeses. The shredded cheese category is where the cellulose problem is most aggressive and most widespread. Kraft shredded blends, budget lines from other major brands, and virtually every store brand shredded cheese on the shelf contains powdered cellulose, potato starch, or both. The marketing on these products is particularly bold. Take the Mexican blend. For cheeses, cheddar, Monterey Jack, queso, quesadilla, asadero, each with genuine culinary traditions rooted in specific regions and cultures. What you get in the bag is an industrially processed, cellulose-coated approximation of those cheeses assembled at scale with no meaningful connection to the originals. The tell is in the cooking. When you use heavily treated shredded cheese in a quesadilla or on a pizza, the potato starch activates under heat and creates a gummy, slightly sticky mouthfeel that real melted cheese never produces. That texture is not cheese doing its job. That is filler doing its job. Your palate already knows the difference. Now your brain does too. Before we get into the kitchen test, I want to talk about what powdered cellulose is exactly. What exactly is powdered cellulose? At its core, cellulose is a structural material that makes up plant cell walls. It is the most abundant organic polymer on Earth. It's literally what gives trees, cotton, and vegetables their rigidity and structure. Chemically, it is a long chain of glucose molecules bonded together in a way that the human digestive system cannot break down. That's the key distinction. It's technically made of sugar, but your body cannot access that sugar at all. How is it made for food use? 1. Raw plant material, most commonly with pulp or cotton, is harvested. 2. It goes through a chemical purification process to strip out everything that isn't pure cellulose, lignin, hemicellulose, etc. 3. The remaining pure cellulose is mechanically milled into a very fine white powder. 4. The result is tasteless, odorless, and calorie-free. So, yes, it does come from a pulp, but it's heavily refined before it ends up in your cheese bag. Is it actually harmful? The honest answer is probably not in small amounts, but there are nuances worth knowing. The FDA classifies it as GRA, generally recognized as safe. It passes through your digestive tract completely undigested, similar to other insoluble fibers. At the 2% level permitted in shredded cheese, most research shows no meaningful health risk for the general population. A small number of people with sensitive digestive systems may notice bloating or GI discomfort. The real issue, the health concern, is less about toxicity, and it adds weight to the bag without adding cheese. You're paying for filler. It also affects the cooking texture, creating that gummy, sticky mouthfeel when heated. Bottom line, it won't hurt most people, but it's a cost-cutting additive that has no place in real cheese. The kitchen test. Before we get to the real list, here's a quick audit you can run on anything in your refrigerator right now. Test 1, the room temperature test. Set a small cube of cheese on a plate and leave it at room temperature for 15 minutes. Real cheese will begin to sweat a small amount away and develop a slightly oily sheen as the fat softens naturally. Processed cheese product will become pliable but maintain a rubbery, uniform surface with no separation whatsoever. Test 2, the grate test. Grate a small amount of each. Real cheese produces distinct, slightly irregular shreds that clump naturally because of fat content. Heavily treated cheese grates into uniform, dry, perfectly separated shreds, a direct result of cellulose or starch coating, preventing any natural cohesion. Test 3, the melt test. Heat both in a dry pan over medium heat. Real cheese melts unevenly, bubbles at the edges, and separates slightly as the fat releases. Processed cheese melts in a smooth, perfectly consistent sheet with no separation. That flawless melt is the emulsifying salts at work, not quality dairy. Your kitchen is the most honest laboratory you have access to. Use it. The real list. Number 1, Kerrygold aged cheddar. Kerrygold is an Irish dairy cooperative, and its supply chain advantage is specific and measurable. Irish dairy cows graze on grass for approximately 300 days per year. Grass-fed milk produces a chemically distinct product, higher in conjugated linoleic acid, more complex in flavor compounds, and with a deeper natural yellow color that comes from beta-carotene in the grass rather than from added dye. Flip the Kerrygold block. The ingredient list reads: milk, salt, starter cultures, rennet. For ingredients, the color is natural. The flavor depth is real and traceable to a specific agricultural practice. It is priced above domestic budget cheddars, but it consistently represents one of the most affordable entry points into genuine grass-fed cheese available at mainstream grocery scale. The Irish farming cooperative model behind it is not a branding story. It is the actual reason the product is better. Number 2, Cabot Seriously Sharp Cheddar. Cabot is a Vermont-based farmer-owned cooperative with roots going back to 1919. Their Seriously Sharp Cheddar is aged for a minimum of 16 months, well past the threshold where real flavor complexity begins to develop. The ingredient list is exactly what it should be: milk, culture, salt, enzymes. No cellulose, no starch, no pharmaceutical mold inhibitors on the shreds. Cabot places consistently at the top of American cheese competitions, not because of marketing spend, but because the product is genuinely excellent. It is widely available across major grocery chains in the eastern United States and increasingly nationwide. The per ounce cost sits comfortably below most imported European alternatives, while delivering a flavor profile that processed cheese products cannot replicate at any price point. This is the everyday sharp cheddar benchmark. Number 3, Tillamook Extra Sharp, or aged cheddar blocks. Tillamook is a farmer-owned cooperative based in Tillamook County, Oregon, operating since 1909. The cooperative structure matters here for the same reason it matters with Cabot. The farmers who own the company are the same people supplying the milk. Their financial incentive is to maintain quality, not to cut it. The ingredient list on Tillamook's natural cheddar: cultured milk, salt, enzymes. 3 ingredients. The extra sharp variety is aged for a minimum of 9 months. In many regions, Tillamook is actually the value play in the cheese aisle. You're getting a genuine 3-ingredient product from a traceable cooperative supply chain for the same price as engineered alternatives with 12 ingredients. That is not a coincidence. That is what happens when the people making the food are also the people who own the outcome. Number 4, Parmigiano Reggiano DOP certified. This is the gold standard, and it is worth understanding why. Parmigiano Reggiano is protected by European designation of origin law, meaning it can only be produced in a specific region of northern Italy using specific breeds of cow, with a minimum aging of 12 months and a maximum moisture content enforced by an independent regulatory consortium. Every single wheel is individually inspected before it reaches market. Wheels that fail inspection are branded and downgraded before they ever see a retail shelf. The ingredient list is 3 items: milk, salt, rennet. That is it. No cultures even listed separately. The microbial environment of the production region is itself part of the recipe. Here is the authentication detail that matters most. Flip the block and look for the dotted rind that spells out Parmigiano Reggiano and the DOP seal. That rind is stamped into every authentic wheel during production. Without it, you are holding a legal imitation. The United States has no Parmesan standard of identity. Any domestic product can use that name regardless of how it was made, where it came from, or how long it was aged. The rind is your proof of origin. If it is not there, put it back. What this is really about. The industry has one core strategy, and it has been working for decades. They count on you not flipping the package. They invest heavily in front label design. Words like sharp, artisan, natural, and farmhouse are chosen by marketing teams, not regulated by the FDA. The front of the package is a story. The back of the package is the truth. The gap between those two things is where the profit lives. Every dollar you spend on a pasteurized processed cheese product instead of a farmer-owned cooperative block is a vote for a food system that has decided your convenience, and their margins matter more than what you're actually eating. That is not an accident. It is a business model. The good news is that the real thing is on the same shelf. Tillamook, Cabot, Kerrygold, and Parmigiano Reggiano DOP are not specialty items you have to hunt for. They are in the same dairy aisle, often at comparable prices, always with shorter ingredient lists. The only thing standing between you and real cheese is the habit of reading the back of the package before you put it in your cart. For ingredients: milk, culture, rennet, salt. That is the standard. Hold everything you buy to it. If this changed how you think about what's in your fridge, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more facts you'll want to know about what you put in your mouth. We're here to give you the facts. The good, the bad, and yes, the ugly. There's a lot more truth to unpack, and we are just getting started. Bite back bites. We chew through the nonsense, so you don't have to.